kindergarten. It was Presbyterian kindergarten. The lady was house 5, so she seemed really old. She would take the voice and that and she would go and stand there.
Oh my God. How is that even allowed? A lot of things were allowed back then.
Well, I'm not going to tell you the year.
Yeah. When I was in school, they would put the bathroom in the classroom. Like, instead of it being a closet, there was like a bathroom. So like, if you needed to go, you didn't go outside, you were in.
Embarrassing, maybe?
Yeah, just slightly. I mean, at that age, you don't question it. You're just like, la 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 la.
No, that's true. High school, you did.
High school, I'd be like, whoa. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know, my high school, we always had like security guards like that stood outside, and if like you were in there for too long, like they would like bang on the doors. It's like it would just get crowded during like rush hour times with God knows what.
Oh yeah, so was the boy. Standard. Did you go to school around here?
No, I'm from New Jersey.
Where?
Monmouth County.
Monmouth County?
Monmouth County, yeah.
My ex-wife's mother, grandmother, great-aunt.
Montclair, yeah, so that's north.
Short Hills. That's
Yeah,
north.
it is north, yeah. I'm like Six Flags Great Adventure area.
Oh, yeah. You've been on that roller coaster?
In the car?
The one that's supposed to be like the highest?
Yeah. Well, they took it down. They took down King Ka, and then attached to it was Sumanjaro. Hello.
How are you?
Someone will definitely come down with you guys unless you know where you're going.
So there's a couple that's going upstairs, I think, to do pre-read for the speakers.
Yes.
So what room? Do you know what room that is?
Right. There you go.
Yeah, I wanted to go on that.
Yeah,
I don't like roller coasters anymore, but I wanted to go.
Go on that one. Yeah, I was very small for a long time. I was until like going into high school. I went on that.
Go straight on.
You get like it's like a. Let me get the words. Like they pull you back and then they fire. Yeah.
Oh, so you don't get a lead up.
Like yeah, you get in the car and then it like. Hi, how are you?
How are you?
You just like you sit in the car and then it like pulls you all the way back.
How are you, buddy? Good.
And then they fire you off. And sometimes they wouldn't make it up. Like you would go all the way up and then you'd fall back down. So cold.
Is that the operator having fun or just function?
The malfunction.
Yeah. When I was a kid,
The pressure on my thumb.
we always went to the.
Have you ever been here before? Never been here. I didn't realize the room is so small.
Yeah.
Or even, huh?
It was small. As we were going, it was falling.
What's been going on? What dress did they give you? Circuit or what? 910. Circuit 910.
I didn't write it.
I checked it out. You already did?
No way.
Oh.
Huh? No, I'm
It's
I'm just making sure that it's even.
Yeah, there was one wooden ride, and then
I don't think so.
that was El Toro. And that was like
All of a sudden starts asking for
just like rolling hills.
Yeah.
No.
Old fashioned.
Yeah, and something happened. I don't know what, but they like shut the ride down too. It's still going, but like they shut it down for like the summer. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
They had a wooden one that keeps the one waiting.
Right.
That was for like families.
Yeah, my like entire town works in Six Flags. Like all of my friends work in Six Flags. They're all ride operators. They're all lifeguards. They're all. They do it all.
Fun job or just
Definitely stressful. They deal with a lot of crazies all day long.
send that out with the release?
Yeah.
I think I still get one of these a week, at least.
What, photos?
No, these phishing scam things.
One a
Really?
week, that's it?
Yeah, well, you know, I've set up some.
I
Yeah.
cuss them out. So
But I used, but then.
they
what-
told
what-
their friends.
What I
and
started
they
doing
stopped
was
messing.
replying to them in Chinese, telling them to fuck off.
Oh, that's funny.
But then
That
you
is
find
really
out that
funny.
these guys are essentially they're slaves, you know, in Cambodia.
Cambodia, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dang.
Cambodia's just that whole golden triangle.
Yeah.
Cambodia is
And
beautiful.
as
It's
you
very
learned
sad.
today, in Burma too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Whereas
whereas we call it
believe it or
Myanmar.
not. Well, yeah, exactly. But I love Burmese food. But there's a group actually called the Karen.
Yes,
You know about this?
yes.
Where you stay
I was a part-time photo editor at RFA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
But not too long, Cliff Owen. I'm at AP.
Oh, cool.
But, yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for coming out.
So, did a lot of those stories.
But I had no idea there was a group called the Karen.
Yeah.
And then there are subgroups of the Karen. There are the big-eared Karen.
And then every once in a while, the Cambodian police will do a raid. It's only symbolic.
Right.
Put pictures out for the Western media.
Yeah.
We're right back in business.
Yeah. Let's hope that's not.
And there's a big casino there.
In
Oh,
Cambodia.
wow.
And the guy that owns the casino is like the big mobster.
Interesting.
And do you know about the chief of police?
No?
Chief of national police.
Okay.
He makes $36,000 a year. He has $13 million watch collection. He's got $5 million in the bank. And his daughter got married earlier this year. So $2.5 million rent. But he makes.
And don't tell me Beyonce was the
No.
musical.
I don't know who.
That's amazing. So, and also you probably know that there are all these like American externals, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll bring it up.
There's, it's a real mess.
Right. But
Very
speaking of journals,
smart.
do you know Rick Bomer?
Yes.
Okay, I used to work with Rick.
Up in Philly?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, he's awesome.
Give me your whole name.
Sam Wood.
Sam Wood.
Yeah.
Boomer was here for AP for a while.
Uh-huh.
He just didn't like the White House coverage. So he went
He's
out.
much more of an
Oregon.
adventurer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know David Swanson?
I know, yes.
Those are two of my favorite shooters. And Kyle Keener.
Al
Jay Kyle
Keener,
Keener. Yeah.
that's going back.
Yeah, I mean, he moved out to Michigan a long time ago.
Boomer, man. He did a lot of trips with Boomer.
Really?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when I was coming up, he was really good to me.
You know, did you ever meet his mom?
No.
Police officer?
No shit.
Yeah.
Where? In Philly or elsewhere?
Probably outside of Philly.
Okay.
I can't remember. That's a while
I
ago.
had no idea. I mean, I
Yeah.
started at the Enquirer as like the clerk in photo, so I was like doing their
You did?
paychecks. Yeah.
And you work here now.
Yeah, I mean, it was back in the day when you could start in the mail room and, you know, work up to be like in the front office.
Freelance for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we know a little bit about humility.
So let me give you a Boomer story.
Uh-huh.
So he's such a straight arrow, but he's not a straight arrow. So on Air Force One, there was classes. They give you a lot of swag.
Yeah.
on Air Force One. These classes, they're etched with seal. This is for Air Force One.
Yeah.
So you have to try stealing.
Yeah.
And the stewards keep track.
Uh-huh.
So we told Boomer the method. This is what you gotta do. He's sitting there,
Okay.
just sweating. Literally sweating.
See, that's why God made extra men's cases.
That's Cameron, yeah. I never got one. I got one from my father-in-law.
Uh-huh.
But I got one. We had to change lenses or something. My blinds and crushed the glass.
That's funny. But see, this is what they're going to use as your compromise.
Oh, sure. But this was Boomer was here for Clinton, I think.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah,
special invitations is coming.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah, now, put them all on display.
And you heard the one that Secret Service agents were stabbed because of it.
Yeah, there was, I think, maybe the Post had a story last year about the, you know, the grifting graft that was going on.
These two, you know, they have wheels up parties. As soon as the plane takes off, it's wheels up, rings off. They've used that in a few movies now lately.
That's funny. I mean, I was, my coverage was much more staid. I mean, I covered business.
Oh, in Philly?
Yeah.
That's getting busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you call one-way streets?
There's that too. Yeah, we had corruption.
I had a car stolen from Northern Virginia. A 16-year-old kid was found in Philly. He was stifling gas out of an off-duty policeman's car. Turned out it was a list of cars they
Models?
minor MGB. Little MGB, and then they drive it. Halfway up there, they load up the drugs. We continue on to Philly, also the drugs. We already got a buyer from the car.
Right.
The kids were all underage.
Yeah, well, that was kind of going on here with carjackings. There was one instance where they tried to carjack a guy outside our office.
Here?
Yeah. It turned out to be a security guard. Called a cop. Shot him dead.
Good. I don't know if that's good.
It was unfortunate.
Yeah, this used to be the district. Do you remember that? When did you come here?
Well, I've only been here like a little over 2 years.
DC?
Yeah.
Late 80s.
Yeah, well, you know, Philadelphia was Philadelphia for a while too, but it's
Yeah.
like, you know, when you're swimming in it, you don't really notice it as much. I mean, I covered Camden,
Oh.
which had a higher homicide rate than what Choluteca in Honduras, or however you say the name of that town.
You're doing business stories?
Yeah, to cover cops and courts, which is basically how I got into this racket.
Had a good career.
It hasn't been.
Yeah, no, you're smiling. I can tell.
And the shooters always seem to have a great time.
You know, if we don't, something's wrong.
Yeah.
It's a hard job.
I mean, I knew a few people who were scarred. They went down to Rwanda, places like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you either get up, I went to, first Iraq War, not too long. I went to the U.S. invasion of Haiti. And you either get addicted
Yeah.
to that rush,
Right.
or you get really depressed with what you're seeing.
Right.
Back and you're all kind of,
Yeah, there was somebody I knew very early on who was a shooter somewhere in the Middle East. A guy named George. He had an Arabic last name. Yeah, he was that way. I mean, he just couldn't function back there after being in the
I love drinking too. You know, you go to a hotel, you go to the bar just for the day, which was a song. Yeah. I bring my friends over to Caribou, four places.
Wow.
She trained as a nurse. She's really athletic, which helps her. Then there's Jerome Belay, who's VP.
Right.
She's come home.
Yeah, we had one shooter who actually went over the Himalayas with a bunch of refugees. I can't remember what her name was. But she had been trained to become a doctor. And it was a really good thing because our reporter, who was a bird of Loretta Tafani, I think it eventually came out here, but she broke her leg, you know, on a mountaintop, days away from here, and would have died if this woman hadn't been there.
Yeah. Well, that's scary. That's scary.
Yeah, that was just like 80s journalistic chutzpah, you know, send these people who aren't physically prepared for
Well,
stories.
okay. Anderson Cooper
Yeah.
picked up a video camera and said, I want to be a workhorse lawyer. And he just went out and started
airplanes were.
Wow.
So where you gonna go?
I
One
gotta
in
talk to
Nashville
her.
was my kids.
Tell them I said hi. I don't know whether they'll remember me.
Yeah.
You know, you remember your mentors and the people that are really kind. You don't always
Yeah, we're
necessarily
like a
remember.
bunch of family. We're all gonna be.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't even,
That's
again, I was
great.
like a
As long as
night
we can
clerk
get
at
there.
the time.
Night
Planes.
Yeah.
Much better than a federal courthouse.
Yeah, although that's not gonna be a bad one.
You think it'll be interesting?
Could be.
Same
So
here.
much
So two different cases coming into argue why she shouldn't be like unlawfully afraid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be interesting.
Yeah.
That's, I love covering
Yeah,
spot
go
news.
through it again,
Tell
yeah.
them
Yeah, it'd be fun. It's not a bad courthouse.
how smart everybody
It
is.
all comes down to
I
that.
like
And
it.
it's like,
I've been on the Grand
you
Tour
realize
so far.
like, if there's a little bit of it here, it's like, you know, it's like you can see things are coming on the radar.
You know, you're supposed to
That
get
would be a
past,
great fucking
you
sword,
don't
but I
have
can't
to, but
That would be a great fucking sword. I
thing
can't
on
tell.
there when you get media pass.
Right.
You'd be rushed out the
It's
door.
kind of bullshit.
Okay.
They don't really check for it, so if you, like,
Well, you
if you
got
don't
your
have time.
memoirs.
Okay. They were sticklers about it for the
They're
Google
right
thing.
in somebody's
Right,
hand.
that was the whole thing.
Okay. And then, but the
Your
other
family.
times they have.
Maybe. I mean, I'll.
Right, so I got it for the, both of the
Most
companies,
of
and
them-
I wasn't ever asked.
Yeah,
for
how
time.
did- yeah, can't remember.
But I
Yeah,
got it.
I think
just in
photographers
case.
are right close to.
I don't know, what time is the hearing notice, at like 9:30 or
Right
10?
for.
I think it's early.
You see, Swanson started a new podcast.
Yeah.
Either go get it this
Really?
afternoon or don't worry about it.
That guy's major league, man.
But I asked
So
him about it
fucking funny.
because it's the first time ever that.
You know, he was
passed
one of the very
Google.
first guys who started
Ever.
shooting
Yeah.
and you know, doing social.
So it's a Google trial, messed everything up.
Just, you know,
Oh, wow.
so many
Huh.
together.
Yeah, there were a ton of people there for that.
Right,
Yeah,
yes.
he came here for, he came down here sometimes.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't know why they didn't freak him out. We did the whole Manafort trial there. There were a ton of people there for 3 weeks.
Did
Yeah,
some
I'm sure
work
that
for
was a
Geographic?
way bigger deal,
It was a
yeah.
mess.
Yeah.
you know.
I'm sure he
So I don't
did.
know why
I mean,
was on now,
I've
but
seen that name.
you know,
Whatever.
he was
I'm not
Philadelphia
sure
bound
to break
for a
him in
while
half.
because I think he came back from one of those,
Well, yes,
you know,
right.
those scarring
I
stories.
think she's probably the one who put it together.
Heavily the boss.
Okay.
And
There was also no gun shooting.
then later
As I saw someone get removed.
shooting in Kandahar, places like that. He got some of the best war pictures.
That sounds work. That I can understand.
Oh, no, without doubt.
Yeah.
But you talk about a doctor, there's a guy,
You
oh
pass,
man, I
no
can't think of
go.
his name.
No breaks.
The doctors would help you with, there's a doctor,
Yeah.
this
No
back in the
phones.
80s.
Right, right.
His name will come to me in a second. And he saw the effect that photos were having,
Uh-huh.
especially that picture of the vulture and the little baby,
Yeah.
and the impact that had.
Or, you know, the Mercury picture, you know, that Pieta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imana. So he quit being an actor and became a photojournalist.
Uh-huh.
He thought that had more power.
It's really noble, and it's also very useful, again, to have a doctor, you know, in a disaster area, even if the disaster is very tiny.
And where were they going from, like India to somewhere? Nepal?
Yeah.
It's brutal.
I really wish I could remember her, 'cause she was great. Again, it was so long ago. It was under the Gary Haynes era.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, all the old names.
Lord. Yeah, you plugged in. Great names.
Yeah. Loved and loathed the world over.
Um, yeah. Most of us are probably like that though, at some point. Mark, right?
Well, I just need to fire this up and hope that I can send it out. They're usually pretty close, so they'll probably come in about 2 minutes. could, and Gagliotti will not be joining us here, but he's still going to remain an announcement official. Okay, anything else? Do you need anything? Okay. I will do that now. Thank you, man. All right, bye.
Oh, no, I wasn't onto this.
Oh.
Thank you. Hmm? I've gone with them a couple times, but I was telling Sam, I was just pissed about that. I'm telling you, they'll leave you alone if you show them that you're not dumb.
We can't convince them that you're on the air station, can we?
You're asking for a lot, Mr. Way.
you wanna send me the line? Sam, who's this? Hey, John.
They didn't tell me. No, man, they didn't tell. We're gonna go that way. Oh, okay. Never mind. Okay. All right.
Me too. Okay. Morning, everyone. I'm Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney in Washington. We're here today to target a growing epidemic, and that is crypto investment fraud scams perpetrated by organized Chinese crime syndicates that successfully target Americans and victimize them. In 2024 alone, Americans were scammed out of more than $9 billion as a result of this cryptocurrency fraud. Experts estimate, because of underreporting, that it is as much as 15 times more than the $9 billion. It starts by weaponizing the very devices that you and I hold and use every day to do our banking, to enrich our lives, to communicate with our friends and our loved ones, and sometimes people communicate with us whom we don't look forward to speaking to. But they meet on social media platforms like Facebook, and they text their victims seemingly by mistake. They prey on older Americans because of their loneliness. They first gain their trust, and then they move the conversation to WhatsApp or other encrypted communications. And they shuttle their victims from legitimate crypto platforms to fake platforms that they themselves create and control. What I have here is a classic example of the kinds of contacts that people can get in a text message. So it would say, for example, "Hi Patricia, I didn't see you at the gym today." And the person with the phone says, "I'm not Patricia, it's the wrong number." And the scammer says, "So sorry, I hope I didn't disturb you." And Patricia, or the wannabe Patricia, says, "No worries at all." And the scammer says, "You seem like a really nice person. What's your name?" She identifies herself as Sandy, goes back and asks him what his name is. And then it begins. Now, since President Trump has sought to make the U.S. a leading haven for cryptocurrency, it's important for Americans to understand the safe use of the commodity. There are no tricks that can be a part of cryptocurrency. As part of the president's goals, we strive to expose these fraudulent contacts and pitfalls so that Americans end up being secure in their investments. Now, the consequences of these scams are devastating. Older Americans in particular are targets of these scams, many of them lonely, many of them looking to speak to someone who communicates with them. Their entire life savings gone, their retirement funds gone, left with no opportunity to go back into the workforce and to re-earn money. I want to give you two examples. One is a woman who said she sent $40,000 initially, and she was provided with screenshots that showed the profits of her cryptocurrency investment. Quote from the victim, "That was telling me I was making all this profit. That's what encouraged me to invest more." And in the end, the woman, who is 60 years old, lost $1 million of her life savings. Another person said, "I've been financially assaulted, and it's a devastating feeling." A Virginia man who lost $272,000. And this is the saddest of all. Quote, "There wasn't enough money left even to pay for his headstone." The daughter of a victim of cryptocurrency fraud who killed himself. So this scamdemic is certainly a generational wealth transfer from Main Street, USA, into the hands of Chinese organized crime, making it both a national security problem and a homeland security problem. And with the partners behind us, my office will not stand by as these Chinese organized crimes enterprises empty out the bank accounts of hardworking Americans, many, of course, left without the ability to go back into the workforce. And that is why we are here today. With our partners at the Maine Department of Justice, the FBI, the United States Secret Service, a scam center strike force is being created. As the prosecuting office in the nation's capital, we have the authority to charge foreign defendants and seize foreign property well situated to engage also with our partner agencies across the government. This new strike force mission is to identify and charge the leaders of these cryptocurrency scam organizations, to trace and to seize the stolen funds to the victims, and seize and disable the United States infrastructure that is the manner and the means of the scam itself. So already we've been hard at work. We've already seized over $400 million, and today we are filing additional actions to forfeit $80 million that we will return to victims. We have seized websites being used by these compounds in Southeast Asia that are used to victimize Americans. We're seeking warrants to seize satellite terminals and accounts being used by the perpetrators to connect to the internet. And our Strike Force Burma team has identified, quote, the Democratic Karen Force Burma Team, Benevolent Army. Let me say it again. The Democratic Karen Benevolent Army, which is a Burmese army group which is supporting scam centers, which we have nominated for designation by the Treasury Department. We're calling on all U.S. providers to assist us because left unchecked, this will continue to grow. And it will grow on the networks that we talked about, resulting in U.S. believers, U.S. users believing they can no longer trust these platforms as safe. We want to work with United States partners in a public-private partnership to ensure that these corrupt scammers will immediately be cut off, thus preventing the United States infrastructure from being used as a means to perpetrate fraud against Americans. My final message on this issue is as follows. The Department of Justice will not stand by while Chinese organized crime victimizes Americans and bleeds dry the hard-earned investments of American citizens. The Scam Center Strike Force brings together a cadre of resources across agency. Our best and brightest are being brought together to attack this problem by securing our United States infrastructure, by returning money to victims, and by bringing these perpetrators to justice. Now, I'd like to call upon two of the people behind me right now, Gregory Heeb from the FBI Criminal Division, Deputy Assistant Director.
Thank you, Judge. Appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. I'm Gregory Heeb with the FBI's Criminal Investigative Division. I'd like to thank United States Attorney Pirro and the men and women serving in your office, ma'am, for leading efforts within the United States government to bring agencies, experts, and other resources together to fight the growing threat that scam centers pose to the American people. I'm proud to be here today standing beside our partners to demonstrate the FBI's commitment to the important work of the Scam Center Strike Force. Our partnership with the United States Attorney's Office in the District of Columbia and with the agencies represented here today is critical. It's a critical component of the FBI's strategy to counter complex fraud schemes no matter where they originate. The FBI has dedicated resources from headquarters here in Washington, D.C., from the Washington field office, and from field offices around the country, including New York, New Haven, Boston, San Diego, Philadelphia, Chicago, and Nashville, to advance the work of this Scam Center Strike Force. In addition, the FBI relies on teams of FBI professionals serving in legal attaché offices across the world, in Southeast Asia as well, to advance the work of the strike force, and we do so in close coordination with our foreign law enforcement partners. The lasting impact from highly sophisticated transnational financial crimes emanating from these scam centers can be devastating to victims and their families, as United States Attorney Pirro mentioned.
There are countless stories of Americans who have worked their whole lives only to fall victim to one of these schemes and lose everything. Everyone is a target, and anyone can fall victim. These fraud schemes are on the rise. The FBI's Internet Crimes Complaint Center reported losses exceeding $6.5 billion in 2024, and that's just from crypto investment fraud schemes alone. That's a 43% increase in losses from the year before. This year, reported losses are on track to increase, once again surpassing those numbers in 2024. Keep in mind, as the judge mentioned, this number only captures losses that are actually reported to law enforcement. Actual losses are much, much higher. The FBI is committed to working alongside our partners to protect the American people and to pursue the criminal networks operating these scams. It is our job, together with our partners here today, to stop these criminals, and we are going to do just that. Thank you very much. And I'd like to turn it over to my colleagues in the Secret Service.
I got you. Good morning. I'm Keo Dolan, the Assistant Director for the U.S. Secret Service's Office of Field Operations. I'm pleased to join my colleagues today from the U.S. Attorney's Office, Department of Justice, the FBI, and the U.S. Treasury and State Departments. Since 2019, the Secret Service has seen a major uptick in cryptocurrency investment scams. The organizations behind these scams leverage an ecosystem of criminality, often weaving an intricate web of illicit activities together to perpetrate their schemes. These schemes include human trafficking, victim engineering, and money laundering, among other crimes. The U.S. Secret Service, along with our partners, have worked diligently to investigate these scams and return stolen funds to victims. During the 2025 fiscal year alone, the U.S. Secret Service has responded to approximately 3,000 victims who contacted us regarding cryptocurrency investment schemes, and we seized or froze approximately $495 million in stolen cryptocurrency. These stolen funds were primarily obtained from cryptocurrency investment scams linked to scam centers located in Southeast Asia. With the newly established Scam Center Strike Force, we can do even more to assist our victims in these scams. Each Strike Force member agency brings unique expertise and capabilities that, when combined in a strategic and coordinated manner, will greatly impact our ability to combat these scams and dismantle the criminal organizations behind them. The U.S. Secret Service will leverage our cryptocurrency tracing expertise, as well as our network of skilled forensic accountants, to trace stolen funds and identify impacted victims. Additionally, our overseas field offices have been working alongside law enforcement partners in the region for years to combat these crimes, and we will continue to leverage these relationships during our work on the Strike Force. As U.S. Attorney Pirro mentioned, we have already seen the results from Strike Force efforts. Included in the seizures announced today is a $66 million cryptocurrency investment scam-related seizure, which involved hundreds of victims that were targeted on a dating app. This investigation, led by the U.S. Secret Service's Global Investigative Operations Center, identified approximately 500 websites linked to the organization where victims were enticed with false investment opportunities. The second case I'd like to highlight, that was included also in today's announcement, is a $1.5 million cryptocurrency scam-related seizure by our Memphis field office. Of course, done in coordination with our FBI partners, thank you. We identified nearly 100 U.S. victims. And after this seizure, an additional 120 victims came forward or were identified, further underscoring the importance of victim reporting. I would like to emphasize to those that are listening today that your voice matters. These cases started with victim reporting, and this fight will continue with your help. If you believe that you are a victim in any of these cases, please contact your local Secret Service field office or email cryptofraud@usss.dhs.gov. Again, cryptofraud@usss.dhs.gov, or you can file a complaint with the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3. It truly takes all of us to combat these scams. So in closing, I'd like to thank U.S. Attorney Pirro and her team for your steadfast support. I'd also like to thank our Strike Force agency partners for their continued collaboration. We certainly look forward to working together with all of you to combat this scamdemic. And finally, I certainly want to recognize the dedicated efforts of the U.S. Secret Service team, especially our cadre of skilled analytic professionals and forensic accountants. This group, led by Callie, our program manager and cryptocurrency expert, with support from our special agent colleagues, have made such an impact in combating these scams. Of course, even our foreign and domestic field offices. They continue to dedicate countless hours to combat this scamdemic. So all of you have and continue to make a difference. Thank you for caring enough to do so. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your time today and turn it back over to U.S. Attorney Pirro.
Thank you. Thank you. And now, key to our success is the collaboration with the agency partners. And I'd like to turn the podium over now to the Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC Director Bradley T. Smith from the Treasury Department.
Good morning, and thank you, Judge Pirro. We at Treasury are thrilled to be here today and to support the exciting strike force that was announced this morning. As part of that whole-of-government effort, working with our colleagues at the Department of Justice as well as the Secret Service, we are pleased today to announce that we are sanctioning the entity identified by Judge Pirro earlier today, the Democratic Karen Benevolent Army, or DKBA, and 4 of its leaders for supporting cyber scam centers in Burma that target Americans using fraudulent investment schemes. The DKBA is a violent group that provides, quote unquote, security at the Tai Chang compound in Burma. That compound houses cyber scam operations that have targeted and stolen money from Americans. Perhaps even worse, the DKBA actively participates in violence against the human trafficking victims trapped in the compound and forced to work in its scam centers against their will. As part of our broader effort to disrupt this network, we are also sanctioning today 2 companies and a Thai national who are linked to Chinese organized crime and have worked with DKBA and other armed groups to develop scam centers. It is now illegal for those sanctioned to move money, buy goods, or purchase services in the United States, and as a practical matter, to engage in any significant financial transaction around the world. As others have mentioned, this cyber scam threat is serious. Last year, by our estimates, and estimates vary, but we estimate that approximately $10 billion was lost to Southeast Asia-based scam operations, a 66% increase over the prior year. In some cases, as Judge Pirro indicated, victims here in the United States have lost their entire savings to these schemes. Now, today's action actually builds on an effort that Treasury has undertaken since the start of President Trump's second term. Indeed, this is our 5th action this year targeting scam centers, totaling over 165 different designations, including one in May and another in September, targeting actors in Burma. Using the task force announced today by Judge Pirro, we are committed to continuing this work, to taking the initiative and working with our law enforcement partners and our colleagues around the government, including at the Department of State, to disrupt these scam operations and to ensure that we protect U.S. citizens and the U.S. financial system. And with that, I'd like to turn over to my colleagues from the State Department to touch on their work.
Thank you, U.S. Attorney Pirro, also all my agency colleagues. So good morning, I'm Chris Lamberg. I'm the head of the International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Bureau at the State Department. Since day one of the Trump administration, the Department of State has been working in lockstep with the Departments of Justice and Treasury and Homeland Security to prioritize protecting American citizens, including from threats of online scams. I'm proud to stand here today with U.S. Attorney Pirro, colleagues from DOJ and Treasury and FBI, the United States Secret Service, and all the hardworking members of the Department of Justice's Scam Center Strike Force. Chinese transnational criminal organizations in Southeast Asia have increasingly and purposefully targeted U.S. citizens, defrauding them, as Judge Pirro said, of more than $9 billion just last year alone, and posing every day a direct threat to U.S. national security and to our fellow citizens. Many of these criminal organizations rely on forced criminality, as it has been said by some of my colleagues, a form of human trafficking to facilitate scams, threatening victims with extreme quotas and using violence when these quotas are not met. We estimate that more than 400,000 people from more than 70 countries are forced to work in these scam compounds, primarily in Burma, Cambodia, and Laos. With the crime extending increasingly to the Western Hemisphere and Sub-Saharan Africa. Those numbers have likely grown significantly as criminal operations relocate in response to Beijing's crackdown in some places in Burma and Thailand. Recently publicized steps by senior Cambodian government officials demonstrate their concern, but are followed by little measurable progress toward disrupting a criminal industry that generates billions of dollars a year, equivalent to roughly 40% of Cambodia's GDP, for example. The Department of State is stepping up our efforts to stop these scams. We are dedicating more than $25 million of security assistance to support the DOJ strike force to combat this threat. We will also support the DOJ strike force using visa restrictions against corrupt foreign officials who enable scams, and through the Transnational Organized Crime Rewards Program, which enables the Secretary of State to offer rewards up to $25 million for information leading to the arrest and or conviction of high-level transnational criminals involved in scamming U.S. citizens. The rewards program can also offer rewards for information leading to the seizure and forfeiture of scam proceeds, similar to DOJ's financial disruption to the scam industry through its recent seizure of a huge seizure of cryptocurrency related to the Prince Group Holdings investigation. The Department of State is coordinating with the Department of Treasury as well to impose financial sanctions on individuals and entities involved in defrauding U.S. citizens through cyber scams. The State Department is working to eliminate the forced labor driving these centers through ongoing programs to raise awareness of fraudulent job recruitment, identifying potential trafficking victims, and bolstering government's abilities to prosecute human trafficking through digital evidence. The Department of State, together with our U.S. law enforcement partners and global partners, is protecting Americans, dismantling scam operations, holding those responsible accountable, and pressing all countries to demonstrate the necessary political will to uproot these scam networks. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that it's pretty obvious that we are committed to this new strike force from across all different agencies in the government. I think the biggest problem is that so many people have heard about crypto and they want to get involved and they don't understand it. And if they can see a legitimate profit on a legitimate website, they're all in. And that's what we're trying to prevent, especially when we've got these scam centers in Southeast Asia, and they are part of even bigger operations that are intended to target the United States to move money from Main Street USA to other countries. And that's why we're all here today. And I'm very proud of this operation. And I want to recognize one person here on my left and your right, Karen Siebert, who is with my office and is one of the people who is at the center of the brains of this operation. So I want to recognize Karen for the work that she's done. She was actually on maternity leave, and I think she did more work during maternity leave than on normal days. But even your normal days are long days, so congratulations to Karen. Now, also, I just want to say that there are partners that are interested in working with us. When I talked about Facebook and some of the other social media platforms, there are people who are reaching out to us saying, we want to be a part of this public-private partnership. So we're very excited about that. So I think it will be even bigger and will give, hopefully, Americans some recourse when they end up being scammed in these very targeted scams. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Strike force of this kind in the country of any U.S. Attorney's office?
Is it? I'm pretty sure, yeah, to our knowledge, we think it is. And I think the benefit here, as I've already indicated, is because of the jurisdiction that I have here, we have here in Washington, we have jurisdiction over these cases from foreign countries. It is a first.
What is your advice to elderly Americans? These people can be pretty persistent. I know people are receiving these texts all the time. What is your advice about how to deal with this and not get scammed out of your life savings?
Well, I think the most important thing that we can tell someone who becomes victimized by this is, don't be disappointed in yourself. Don't be upset with yourself that you fell to this kind of scam, because these people are experts. In some cases, their livelihood depends upon how much money they bring in to the scam center. So I think that's the most important thing. But the second most important thing is that if it sounds too good to be true, it is. If you don't understand cryptocurrency at this stage of your life, chances are you're not going to understand it. Don't invest unless you're dealing with an American company, with someone who is a recognized, established company in the United States. See, there's a certain mystery about all this, that everybody hears about people making millions in crypto. It's a fraud, and it's one of the biggest frauds that we're seeing. It was identity theft several years back. Now cryptocurrency theft is the biggest theft that we're seeing in this country.
You released a statement on the record recently that Mayor Bowser is not under investigation or the target of investigation. Can you say that trip in question, nothing about it's under investigation, no one involved in it?
I maintain the statement that I made. She is not under investigation, and she is not being investigated. I think we ought to just end it there.
Was she ever under investigation?
No, she was not. You're welcome. Okay, everybody. Thank you. All right. And thank you to everyone behind me. I'm very, very excited about this. Just so you know, Meta has already indicated that they are willing to collaborate and partner with us. So that's a great first step. And we've got Microsoft has also reached out. See, I thought you'd ask those questions. Microsoft has also reached out, and AARP has reached out. They want to work with us. They know who's being targeted. They want to help us. They want to stop it. Good for them. Thank you.
Gregory.